Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to RRTV. My name is Scotty Fountain, and I'll be your host for this evening's event. And tonight we bring you coverage of the Oceanic Sim Racing V8 Supercar Series. And tonight we're coming to you live from a very recent track to be added to the iRacing service, and that is the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit. Joining me in the commentary box tonight is three fine gentlemen, the first of which team manager of the ANZ Motorsports crew, and that is Clayton Brooks. How you going, Brooksy?
Yeah, good, thanks, Fonty. Glad to be here tonight. Looking forward to the first race on the Nurburgring of the V8s.
Yeah, it certainly will be a great one, mate. Second of our commentators tonight, part of the TD Racing crew, and that is Josh Nowak. How you going, Josh?
Yeah, good yourself, Pompey. This should be a good race for the second race of the OSR season.
Yeah, mate, it's shaping up to be pretty cool, and not many people would have had the opportunity to do too many laps on this track. Certainly not in the V8. It's going to be a challenging circuit in the V8, I think. The third of our commentators for this evening, and part of the All-Star Motorsports team, and that is Luke Emerton. How you going, Luke?
Yeah, good, Scotty. How you going, mate? Good to be back after a week off, and definitely looking forward to turn one, start of the race with 40 odd cars funneling into that nice tight hairpin.
Yeah, well, you're exactly right, mate, and yeah, it's going to be a really, really great race tonight. Got 34 cars signed up for the top split tonight, and 34 very good drivers at that. We've got out there at the moment Mitchell Selak on pole, Kane Kugamiya on 2, Sam Sutton on 3, Matthew Ross Munro on 4, Josh Rogers on 5, Heath Brennan on 6, Matt Morris on 7, Ian Ford on 8, Jack Blackwell on 9, and Michael Cracknell on 10. We had certainly a pretty interesting round last week, and that was at the Zandvoort circuit, and we had Joshua Rogers take that out, with Michael Cracknell following closely behind, Jake Burton in 3, Michael Hammond in 4, Matt Stratford in 5, Matt Jones in 6, Ryan O'Sullivan in 7th, Kurt Stenberg in 8th, Heath Brennan in 9th, and Jeff Gauchi in 10th. So what do you boys think of tonight's race? Who's your hot favourite?
Mate, I'm clearly biasing Kane and Mitchell up there at the front at the moment, but we know Sam Sutton and Matthew Ross Munro, Josh Rogers, those guys are very quick, so yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, but I'm biased and going for the top 2 in quali at the moment.
Yeah, well, these ANZ Motorsport boys are pretty fast, mate, and Mitchell, he's certainly putting in some good times out there at the moment, sitting on pole, with his teammate Kane in second there. So ANZ lock out the front row at this stage. There is a couple of minutes left in qualifying, a minute exactly, so anything can happen, but yep, it's looking good for the ANZ crew at the moment.
Yeah, it does. Just got to hope that Mitchell Selak has his internet connection under control, unlike last week where he unfortunately disconnected partway through the race.
Yeah, well, we all know how frustrating that is there, Josh, mate, and yeah, he'll be hoping for a good round this week, so he can get up there in the championship points.
Yeah, I think I might go for a rough outsider in this race. I'm going to go someone about qualifying just inside the top 10 so far. Maybe the likes of Ian Ford or Michael Cracknell, who's currently 10th, and might be looking at a bit of a pile up into turn 1, so I'm going to look for a car that's a little bit further down the field to avoid that incident and drive on without any damage, hopefully.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a hard road if you're sitting back there mid-pack, certainly in that front first turn. It's a very difficult first turn, a slow first turn. So I'm sure we will see some action unfolding in front of us when that happens. Just had qualifying finish up. There'll be some drivers on their last laps there now, so we'll just look at the qualifying results for tonight. And so we've got there Mitchell Selak pole position with a 2-minute 9.67, followed closely by Kane Cougar on 2 with a 2:01.355. Back to Sam Sutton on 3, Ross Munro on 4, Joshua Rogers on 5, Heath Brennan on 6, Matt Morris on 7. Definitely watch out for Ian Ford tonight. He is a force to be reckoned with, and he's the current Oceanic Sim Racing Series champion from last season. This is the first time we've seen him attend this season, so he'll be certainly a hot favourite. Then we go back to 9th, Jake Blackhall, with Michael Cracknell rounding out the top 10. Mitchell Selak, the only one in the 2-minute window there, so he's certainly looking fast at this stage. It'll be interesting to see if he can do a performance from the first week that we covered this series and have an absolute drive-away win. But I'm sure these boys, especially the likes of Sam Sutton, will be knocking on his door very closely. One of you boys want to read out the 11 to 20?
Yeah, mate. Bring it up here. Peter Sattler is number 11 on a 2:02.291, and Richard Elwood just jumped up in the 12th with a 2:02.316. Kurt Stenberg in 13th. 14th has gone to Craig Jones. Kevin Overeem in 15th. 16th is Matt Jones. Bo Cattell 17th. Adam Hyland got 18th. 19th went to Sean Thompson, and Simon Black is your 20th on the grid.
And in P21 we got Peter Latham in 21st. Joshua Cook in 22, so PFR taking up row 11 on the grid. And you got Darren McKenzie 23rd, Joshua Sawtell 24th, Daryl Hockey 25th, Marty Atkins 26th, Mihail Ladishov, or Kutu as some of you guys know him in YouTube, 27th, Trent McKinnon 28th, Jason Brooks 29th, and Brenton O'Brien 30th.
Yeah, rounding out our field this evening, we have Stephen McPherson in 31st, the last of the cars to register a time. Then you have Jake Maloney, Brady McHale, something like that. Sorry if I got that wrong. Tim Craighill and Paul Rudd yet to post a time from 32nd to 35th. So unfortunately those guys must have a few off tracks or have disconnected without posting a time this evening.
Yeah, well, good field, good turnout for tonight. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing how this race goes. We've got a bit of a gap between the field tonight, which is quite understandable given this track is so new to the iRacing service. But some tricky corners in the circuit and some long straights. It's going to shape out to be a great race. The preview for tonight, location of the track in Nurburgring, Germany. Altitude is 618 meters above sea level, a 60 km/h pit lane speed limit, 5.1 kilometer long track, 16 turns, and we're actually doing a 30 lap race tonight. Partly cloudy out there in this server with a near temp of 28 degrees, track temp of 42, humidity's at 52%, and wind speed at 4.7 kilometers an hour, and wind directions from the north. This may all change as we get into the race server, which we are going to take a quick break and load up the race server. So viewers, hold tight and we'll be back in 5 minutes with your coverage for the race.
news.
Well, welcome back, guys, and what an excellent race we've got lined up here. We've got a minute until we start. We've got 50 cars on the grid for tonight's event, so we've got lots of cars to get through. Should be some great racing all the way through. How do you boys reckon this is going to line up for the first turn?
It's going to be on at the first turn, mate. Heavy braking. It's a sizable run for the V8 down to the first corner, so yeah, there's going to be a lot of dive bombing, I think, trying to gain a few spots. Very sharp corner for the guys, and it likes to understeer through here, the V8, so yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, well, I certainly wouldn't want to be stuck in position 25 coming into this first turn. Going to be very careful. I'm sure we're going to see an incident within the first few corners. As we just ride on board with Mitchell Selleck now, and he's on P1 as far as we're aware. With Kane Kugamiya back in second place.
I was going to say, I think that we're lucky that there's 4 of us up here tonight to cover all the action. There's definitely going to be action right through the field, I think, and with pit stops coming into play, just heard Simon mention that they have been restricted to about 95 litres of fuel, so everyone will have to make a stop. Whether they take tyres or not is up to them. So I think pretty much they can pit anywhere after the end of lap 1, so we'll see how we go.
Not sure how it all works out, but 95 litres may mean that you don't actually need too much fuel to get home. So maybe not taking tyres will turn out to be a good strategy and gain a couple places.
As we just wait for the guys to line up now. 50 cars. Certainly going to take a while for everyone to get around this first lap. So,
we apologise. It's going to be hard for us to cover all 50 cars throughout this race, so we apologise in advance if can't cover everyone.
Yeah, well, we'll certainly give it our best shot, and I certainly appreciate you boys coming on board and giving me a hand here to cover this Oceanic Sim Racing V8 Supercar Series. As the lights go on, and we are away racing into turn 1.
And all the front 3 or 4 guys all got away cleanly. Looks like Matthew Ross Munro's got a bit of a slow start. Around the outside is Sam Sutton. And Matthew Ross Munro, he's around at turn 1. He spun to the inside of the track.
Yeah, it looked like he just jumped on the gas a bit early there. Saw a bit of contact between the 1 and 2 cars of the ANZ into turn 1 there. As we've got the Team Pagnian boys putting a lot of pressure on Kane.
There's Kane's dropped back to 4th spot there. The 2 Pagnian TTL cars both through, Sam Sutton and Josh Rogers. And now Kane's got a lot of pressure there from Ian Ford.
Yeah, there's some big action back in the field between Brenton O'Brien and Mahale. Looks like a few cars spun off in front, and there's cars gone every which way through the Mercedes arena section there, just back in the field.
Yeah, everyone's getting through reasonably tidy though. Had a couple of cars have a bit of a moment there, but pretty clean by everyone, I think, for a 50 car grid.
Yeah, just as I'm looking back, and car 730 just went off the track. Wei Hang Chan. And
focus back on the front now, and it's being led by Mitchell Selleck at the moment, with Sam Sutton following behind, Joshua Rogers right on his rear tail, with Kane Kugamiya behind him Ian Ford, followed by Michael Hammond, Heath Brennan in 7th, Michael Cracknell in 8th, Jason Benson 9th, and Jake Blackhall in 10th. Oh, contact there in turn 1.
Guys, we're going to take your attention back to position 13, 14, 15. The guys are really out of it. Farzan, Ross Rizzo, Kevin Overeem and Richard Elwood, they're all over. They've been side by side for the last few corners. Sorted themselves out a little bit now.
Ross Rizzo was the race winner of last night's Dev Series race, so looks like he's putting that good work into action here, and he's in the top 15.
Yeah, most definitely. He's definitely a guy on the rise, isn't he, Ross?
Yeah, good to see these development boys coming and having a go in the big series on a Wednesday night. Getting good numbers in that development series, so it's great to see them carrying over and joining us here.
The winner of last season's development series, Brendan Hobson, he's been pumping up top 10 so far this season in this series. Not with us tonight, but it's plain to see that development series actually works for the guys.
Yeah, and it's a great series that Simon Black from Oceanic Sim Racing has going. They've been doing it for a few seasons now. This is the 19th season of the Oceanic Sim Racing Wednesday night V8 Supercar series. And it's good to see all the numbers that we're getting.
Yeah, it looks like we've got a bit of smoke in the car further on in the back of the pack. Can't see exactly who it is, but yeah, someone's struggling a bit there. Might have had a bit of a double downshift or something in one of the corners.
Yeah,
it was Simon Black, I think it was down there at the back as well.
As we're just looking up at this front battle in the 1-2 cars, and Sam Sutton is hunting down Mitchell Selak. He's got some heavy pace at the moment. It'll be interesting to see if these boys can run away together with the race.
Just behind them, the battle is really on. Kane was having a good look at turn 1 at the start of this lap. Seems to have a bit of pace over Rogers, but they're ready to pounce on the pair of them.
Yeah, Ian.
Seeing forward, he's up 5 positions from his grid position, so proving once again he's a better racer than qualifier.
Yeah, well, he's certainly pretty good at getting it off the line, I've noticed. Ian is, and yeah, it's great to see him out here having a crack at it. Car looks great in the Maverick welding colours.
Good to see one of my picks hasn't been jinxed yet, so hopefully he can keep it clean as he has now and do the job maybe in the pit stop with a bit of an undercut or something like that.
And we're just watching Jake Blackhall make a manoeuvre on Heath Brennan back there for 8th and 9th.
Was at the front, Mitchell Selak was able to fend off a very late over turn at the last corner from Sam Sutton. And Sam Sutton has another little look, turn 1. These two battling has brought Rogers and Kugamaya back into the battle for first position.
Yeah, well, it's good to see the two top running teams having a good battle here. Not many of the teams that have had much experience on this track, seeing as though it is such a new track to the iRacing service. Very difficult track to set up a car. You've got a lot of tight turns, which in the V8 Supercar you generally struggle with front end grip at the best of times. So it'll be interesting to see how these tyres hold out during this race.
Oh, there's
It
so
looks
much
like
action
these-
on the track, my camera's jumping around everywhere. It's a bit hard to keep track of it all.
Yeah, sorry Josh, I was just going to say these two TTL boys will trying to be putting a lot of pressure. Oh, the leader's lost it.
Silik, he's off. He's into the fence. He's gone. He's got huge damage to the front of that Commodore. And I think he's going to have to go straight to pit lane.
Yeah, he'll be gutted about that. We're just watching the replay now. Oh, he's just lost it there. He's probably jumped on the gas a bit early. Taken a big shunt in the fence, so that has killed his race. He'll be disappointed with that. It's not going to be good for his championship points at all.
Oh man, that's tough coming from last week with the disconnect and now making that mistake. I don't even think this series has a free repair on offer.
No, it doesn't. Simon likes to keep it as real as possible, so no quick repairs for a lot of these series.
Yeah, it looks like he's decided to stay out, so maybe the damage not so as bad as what we may have first thought.
Oh, big moment between him and Heath Brennan. Just touched slightly as Brennan has the inside line for the next turn. Mitchell Selak is holding it in there, and there's another car in the mix. Oh, 3 wide, 4 wide here. This is great to see. This track is clearly an awesome track for racing. The field certainly isn't splitting apart by too much. We're going to see some great racing right to the end.
I'm just looking back at the field and Matt Morris must have missed the start as he's a minute 45 off the pace and I haven't got any lap times for him for the past 2 laps.
As we have Joshua Rogers just take the lead from Sam Sutton. These boys are going to work as a team and try and make a break from Kane and Ian. These Team Pagnian cars looking excellent on track. Sorry. TTL cars, I should say.
Oh, Sutton comes back at his teammate Rogers on the inside. Turn 1, job done. Can Rogers get it in for turn 2? No, he thinks better of it. The more these guys squabble, it's going to keep Kugameya and Ford in touch with them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when these guys make a pit stop. Who will be of most advantage here. I think you're going to wear out tyres really quickly, so you're going to want to just be easy on it, let the action unfold in front of you, and just cruise through the race and hopefully pick up some spots during the pit stop.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're maybe Kane or even Ian right now, you might be thinking of a bit of an undercut, especially if you're not going to take tyres if you ever do need that splash and dash, and try and get yourself out into some fresh air. But with 60 odd cars or 50 odd cars on the track, that might not be possible tonight, so I have to be very careful when they take their stops.
And we're just watching this battle with Peter Sattler, Richard Elwood, Ross Rizzo and Jason Bentz, and it is heating up. We're having cars going in all sorts of directions.
About a half a lap ago, Heath Brennan ran wide off the track and dropped about 5 positions.
Now Now as we look back at the front here, in our top 10 as currently stands is Sam Sutton in 1, Josh Rogers back in 2, Kane Cougamere in 3, Ian Ford in 4, Michael Hammond in 5th, Michael Cracknell in 6th, Jake Blackwell in 7th, Mitchell Selak with a slightly damaged car in 8th. Kurt Stenberg moved up the ladder, he's sitting in 9th at the moment, and Peter Sattler sitting in 10th.
I was there literally nose to tail as Kane looks at the inside there. I think that's Rogers is going to trying as Sam pulls away a little bit and gets a move done through the Mercedes arena.
Yeah, and we'll just go back and see that move there.
Looks like Josh is going to hold this outside, but doing the inside for the next corner as well.
Yeah, Roger's done very well there to hold the outside.
Did very well to hold Kane out there.
And this is giving Sam an opportunity to break away here, these two fighting. 40's just sitting there watching the action unfold in front of him. He's pretty happy with sitting in 4th at this stage. And we look back at Michael Cracknell in a beautifully painted car as he bounces across the curbs here, and there's a bit of a moment.
Having a look at the damage to Selak, doesn't appear to have hampered his pace. He was fastest guy on the previous lap on a 2:02.9, the only guy in the 2:02s, and he's all over the back now of Jake Blackwell.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting bit of driving to watch as he works his way back through this field after that earlier incident.
Yeah, I'm just focused on Simon Black and Gavin Armstrong having a battle as Gavin has a look up the inside but thinks better of it. Great to see the racing is all the way through the field here.
Just looking back, we appear to have our first pit stop of Brian Borg.
Yeah, some drivers opting for that earlier pit stop as mentioned, maybe trying to get an undercut on a few cars around them, get out of a bit of traffic, try and get a bit of a hole and get some fresh air for the car. Looks like Simon's also pitting with a quite damaged second-hand looking Falcon there, out of that battle that we were just watching before.
Yeah, and I think it's a wise decision to pit early, especially around this track. You can get held up by cars in front of you really easily and lose some crucial time, which pitting earlier can certainly pay off at the end of the race, as we have a little bit of contact there with Jason Bentz and Ross Rizzo.
Yeah, just watching Simon during his pit stop there, and it did repair his car, so I think the guys might have one fast repair for these damaged cars, and obviously our leader from before, Mitchell, that crashed out, is just trying to save that fast repair and not make an unnecessary pit stop if you can avoid it.
Yeah, Mitchell's sitting in 8th position at the moment. His car's obviously not too badly damaged. He's fighting there with Jake Blackwell and Michael Cracknell, two of which are very good drivers, so good to see that his car's not too badly beaten up. He's probably driving down with his hands slightly on an angle on the steering wheel, but not taking too much speed away from him, which is good to see.
We're going to turn your attention back to 6. Cracknell is getting caught by a couple of attempts every lap by Blackwell and Sialak, so expect that battle to heat up real soon.
Yes, as we're just watching back at the front now. And these two very good looking cars are going head to head. We've got Josh Rogers putting a lot of pressure on Sam Sutton. I'm wondering if they'll be using team orders and communicating between them two to just try and break away. As we just see Kane get quite loose out of that corner, and Fordy's giving him a run for his money here, and Ford up the inside takes third position. Kane has let him go.
Yeah, Kane having a bit of deja vu there as he got taken around that corner a fair few laps ago, a couple of laps ago actually, and didn't manage to hold him off that time. So yeah, now we'll look to try and break away from Kane and catch these two TTL cars.
Yes, and as Brooksy was touching on,
Ford's
we've had Michael Cracknell get a slowdown for cutting the track, so that's dropped him back, and Mitchell Selak has moved up into 6th position, so he can certainly hunt down Michael Hammond in front of him. His car isn't damaged in the slightest, really.
Yeah, still setting fastest laps after a decent impact of the wall. He's doing well, and it'd almost be almost Madison down effort for those viewers who have seen previous V8 Supercar broadcasts of Mads driving through packs and packs of cars to end up with a win after an early issue. So yeah, we'll be doing really well.
Be interesting to see if he decides to pit early, get some fresh tyres on, and then maybe gain 4 or 5 seconds on the leading pack of cars with the undercut.
Yeah, and we're just looking at this battle here for 15th, 16th and 17th, and it is heating up. We've got Craig Jones, Forzan El Nabi, Adam Highland all getting amongst it here.
Looks like Sean Thompson has spun going into turn 1.
Oh, big impact there. One of the Simulate cars almost on its roof. Forzan just got up the inside of it and gave him a good tap wheel to wheel, and yeah, big impact there.
Yeah, we'll just go back and watch the replay on that one. The car does
Yeah,
not look in good shape.
No, Highland nearly did roll there, didn't he? Very fortunate not to. Dropped all the way back to 21st position.
So it appears there's a bit of net code between Falzon and the car that never rolled over.
Yes, and Sean Thompson driving without a wing for the rest of this race now. As we've got Josh Rogers gone into first position with Sam Sutton following closely behind in second. Ian Ford moved up a few places from where he originally started. He's sitting in third with Kane Kugamiya sitting right on his back bumper in fourth. A little bit of a gap back to Michael Hammond with Mitchell Selak chasing him down in sixth. Crack is back there in seventh. His car is not looking too comfortable, to be honest. We've watched him a few corners and the car's looking very ugly, so he's just gonna sit there and play out the race as it comes. And then we go back to Jake Blackhall in 8th with Kurt Stenberg a couple of seconds behind him in 9th.
St. Piers Ross Rizzo has come to the pit lane to make his pit stop, and there's another car in.
Ross Rizzo in the pits.
And these boys out front are certainly making a gap now. We've got a 2-second gap back to Ian Ford with another second gap back to Kane Kugamir.
Yeah, it seems a little funny, the two TTL cars at front. They've swapped positions quite a bit. Last lap around, Tim Sutton was 6/10 slower than Rogers, but Sutton's come back at him this lap, so they seem to a bit of a seesawing battle.
And keeping it clean between teammates, what we'd like to see. These guys racing pretty hard there in the TTL cars.
Oh, just going back through the pack, and it was Pearson Angry Birds car has just spun, nearly collecting the couple of cars. It was Matt Morris in the 66 Ford.
You got Sam Sutton just making a move there for first place again in the turn 1 Castrol F there. Rogers not letting him go, but he's got his car right in his bumper, and I think the team boss might be pulling his hair out. There's a bit of a tail happy car there coming out, heading down RTL now.
As we've got Jason Brooks just going in to make his stop now.
I'm surprised we haven't really seen anyone from the top 10 pit early, trying to get that undercut that we mentioned.
No, well, we're nearly halfway through the race distance. We're at lap 12, so we can expect to see some of the guys starting to pit very soon, I think, Brooksy.
Yeah, I think, as I said before, I think the only thing they'll be worried about is just coming out into a lot of this traffic with such a large field. It's going to be hard to find a decent gap that the send the car back out into, and that's one thing you won't want to be doing with the battles this close, is getting held up by some lap traffic.
Someone I think deserves a shout out this race is Trent McKinnon, who's gained 20 spots from the start. He started in 40th and is currently sitting 20th on the track.
Yeah, it's an excellent drive in such a close field at this stage, as Ian Ford's into the pits now for his stop.
Yeah, there's the first top runner to blink. Be interesting to see.
Kurt Stenberg followed him.
Yeah, and as we just look at the gains and losses, and we've got Joshua Cook sitting in 15th. He's gained 13 positions from the start, so big shout out to him as we just watch Ian Ford make his stop, and a 11.3 second stop for 40. So quickest stop by far, we had Richard Elwood with a 12.4 second stop. So it'll be interesting to see where he comes out in comparison to Sam Sutton and Josh Rogers. He's been held up here by one of the slower cars, which he has every right to do. As 40 just goes to make a move.
Yeah, this is a drum we talked about, like not so much lap cars, but just slower drivers in the field, and like you said, they do have every right to defend their positions. They're still racing for position as such, even if they haven't made their pit stop. But he definitely didn't take tyres that one, that pit stop, and so it looks like that'll be the option, just a splash and dash.
Yeah, I don't think the tyre degradation is quite what we've seen at Phillip Island and Zandvoort, so maybe no tyres will be the way to go.
Certainly be there, but just looking further down on the gains and losses.
Just
overlay.
to interrupt you, Fonty, the top two have come into the pits.
Okay, well this is going to be interesting to see where they end up compared to Ian Ford.
Followed by Michael Hammond.
Ian Ford now just coming into VDOL, turns 14, 15, and he'll be making his way around the final curve here shortly, so we'll see where he comes out. Ian exiting the final turn.
Sam Sutton's away, and he's got quite a jump on Rogers. They've exited, and that's good game from
Ford's
Ford.
going to have a run down here.
Oh, that's interesting. Only a lap, eh? And 40's putting it in the mix there as they nearly have contact going into turn 1.
Oh, it doesn't get any closer than that.
Yeah, great to see they're keeping it clean, and 40 will have the bit between his teeth now as he makes a move. Oh, wow. Ambitious move there by Ian Ford under Sam Sutton. The gap was there, but yeah, certainly a move which most people wouldn't have looked at, not this early on in the piece, but he's wanting to make a statement, wanting to get a gap. Contact.
No,
he's just taken him out.
No, that's not on.
No, that's not on, guys.
That is stupid driving from Sam Sutton. There'll be repercussions from that, no doubt.
Yeah, very silly. What a way to wreck the race.
I could understand Ford's thinking. He's on the warmer tyres and he wanted to get the job done. Probably not the way he should have done it either, but he was actually racing. Sam Sutton wasn't, so disgraceful.
Yeah, very disappointing. That certainly helps out the boys at the front here. Rogers is running away with it now, with Kane Kugamia back there.
There's been no radio chat between any of the boys, so that's quite interesting. No message from race control or anything yet, but I'm pretty sure there's no live marshals. But at first I would have said his brakes failed, but with the aftermath there later on, I dare say that may or may not have been deliberate.
Yeah, disappointing racing between these two guys. We're hoping to see a great race to the end. 40 was looking pretty powerful with his track position there. Bit of an ambitious move, I thought, but a bit of a over retaliation there by Sam Sutton. Disappointing end for those boys.
Yeah, like he did stick it up there, but it didn't really cost either of them that much time when you go back and look at it. So
no. Yeah, we won't hold too much on it, mate. But yeah, disappointing from those two boys. Hopefully, we can see some better quality driving next round from those two.
Sam Sutton's just ended the pit lane, got his 3 new cars, got his fast toe, and straight back out onto the track in probably around 18 position, I think it is. Yeah,
well, 40's car's not looking too badly damaged at all. Probably a few bumps and grazes there, but looks to still have the goods and have the straight line speed, so we'll see him stick out to the end of the race. He still could line up and get a second place. Be hard for him to catch Josh Rogers from this point, but anything is possible. Still got another 15 laps to go, but as we look at Josh Rogers now, and he's just driving a clean and consistent race. He's got not much to worry about around him, so he can afford to be a little bit slower than normal just to save the car.
Cialik and Cracknell into the pit lane.
So as it stands at the moment, we have got Kane Kugamir in 1. He hasn't made a stop yet. With Mitchell Selak in 2. Not for much longer. Michael Cracknell in 3. Jake Blackhall moved up to 3rd. And Josh Rogers punches into 2nd place now.
Be interesting to see when Kane hits, as Josh Rogers took out nearly 2 seconds that lap on him.
Yeah, Josh looking very fast and clean air. So I think we can expect to see him win this race. Better not put the commentator's curse on him too early. He's
No.
certainly forced to be reckoned with at this stage.
I think Rogers may have taken at least rear tyres. He's punched out his fastest lap of the race from the previous lap at 2:02.3, so very quick lap from Rogers for this part of the race.
Yeah, I don't know whether or not he took tyres, mate. He had a 11.4 second stop, so certainly one of the fastest. We've got 40 with the fastest pit stop so far. Here with Josh Rogers on an 11.4. Mitchell Selleck getting amongst it there, sitting in 4th position. With
Just to
Kevin
interrupt
over him
you.
in 3rd.
Kane's come to the pit lane this lap.
Selleck makes his way past over him. That's a good battle going on there behind Overeem with Nabby, Ford, Cracknell and Hammond. A couple of guys have pitted, a couple of guys haven't in that, so yeah, it's making for some interesting racing back there. The back end of the top 10.
Just riding on board with Richard Elwood there, and he's got Heath Brennan right on his tail, and Sam Sutton following closely behind in 16th. As we've got Heath Brennan looking to make a move, but thinks better of it.
Yeah, sorry mate, and Rogers is just taking back over the lead after Kane pitting there. So after this round of pit stops, everything's starting to filter back out into the normal running order.
Yes, and we've got Rogers out there in front with a 5-second gap back to Kane. And then another 4.6 second gap back to Mitchell. So we've got the TTL car out in front at the moment with the 2 ANZ cars behind. Michael Cracknell sitting back there in 4th with Michael Hammond in 5th. Kevin Overeem in 6th with 40 Ian Ford following closely behind in 7th. Can expect to see 40 maybe finish in the top 4 here. Be hard for him to get any further up than that, but expect to see a 4th place finish from him, I would think.
Yeah, not sure if those Simulate cars have pitted yet, but sounds like they're going to let him through anyway, so I dare say they may not have pitted. Good little battle there actually within 7th or 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. There's a fair few cars there. Got Kevin Overeem under pressure from Forzan, and another Evolution car behind that, Jake Blackwell. They get quite close there, and Matt Norris getting in the mix as one of the simulated cars pits now.
Yes, as we're just riding on board with Joshua Rogers, our race leader, for a lap around the spectacular Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit. Gonna see a driver do this lap with style. Certainly Joshua Rogers is your man, so we'll ride on board with him for this lap and see how he goes. that was
That's
a
how
lap.
it's done.
That's certainly how it's done. He made a bit of a mistake there. A couple of turns from the end, had a bit of a moment, I see.
Yeah, he must have known he was on camera, just giving the fans a bit of excitement there.
Yeah, we've certainly had Kane catch up with that moment. He's got a 4-second gap back. Josh isn't going to want to make too many more mistakes, otherwise Kane's going to be knocking right on his door there.
The other guys that's catching up is Cialek. He's actually taken quite a bit of time out of Kane and Rogers. He's done a 2:02.072, fastest lap of the race by anyone only 2 laps ago.
Got a couple
Making
of
his
lap
way
cars in
through some
between.
back markers, yeah.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, we'll be hoping to get past them without too much fuss, and those two aren't battling for position either, so hopefully they just adhere to the blue flags and we might be able to get up there and catch up.
Yeah, those guys just let him through, so he'll continue on his way. I think seconds, the gap between Rogers and Cialek, I think that's going to be too big of a bridge to gap in, what do we got left, about 10 and a bit laps. Yeah. I've been keeping an eye on Sam Sutton. He's certainly moving his way back through the field. Sorry, he was. He looks like he's I've lost Sam Sutton actually off me screen. Sam Sutton's back in the pits. Looks like he's giving it up.
It's unfortunate, it's a good battle up there, and paved the way for his teammate, the TTL teammate here, and podium looking like it's sorted itself out now after the pit stops has come in with 10 laps to go now.
Yeah, I'm just looking back through his last couple of laps here, and I don't see anywhere that he's gotten any terminal damage, so it just looks like he's just given it up for tonight. Maybe just letting himself cool down.
So we've got Josh Rogers just going past some lap cars. Chad Vigor and Mark V flew past them.
Yeah, a bit of a battle back in the pack here between 21st and 20th. Car number 653, Bruce Kelly, and Kevin Overeem having a good little battle here for mid-pack honours.
Yeah, good to see these boys are keeping it clean.
Also a battle involving Kurt Stenberg and Pete Sattler and Jason Bentz for 8th, 9th and 10th, which is getting quite good at the moment. Jason Bentz putting a lot of pressure under Kurt, nearly a bit of contact.
Yeah, Kurt nearly went straight across the nose of Bentz then and could have easily ended up in Stenberg being turned around. Luckily Bentz had the wisdom to get out of it a little.
A bit of a simulated sandwich there he's found himself in.
Angry Birds Racing definitely doing very well this race.
Yeah, and a good paint job done there as well. I'm not sure who paints their cars, but if you look closely, each of the Angry Birds are a different Angry Bird on each car. So yeah, they are quite good looking cars, those ones.
Yeah, it's good to see the skills of all the boys. Certainly They're getting greater and greater every season, and some of these cars, yeah, certainly look great. Interesting colour choices from some teams, and some traditional colours from others.
Yeah, always good when a new season starts and you know what you're going to get out there with the paint scheme wise.
And the Angry Birds boys are certainly making their way up the field in all the V8 series that we run here in iRacing. It'll be interesting to see how they go in the Premier Series this year.
Yeah, well, they're looking quite strong at the moment, so definitely look out for them later on in the year, or next year actually, when it starts, and also in the Enduros, because we seem to have some good drivers here that'll probably make a few pairings to be reckoned with later on.
Yeah,
well they've got...
Sorry, mate.
Sorry,
go on.
Monty. They got 3 cars in the top 10, so they're definitely putting their front foot forward for next year.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on the Premier Series. It's going to be a good series, especially for all your viewers out there. It's obviously, of course, streamed on the V8's online channel, which we here at RRTV are big supporters of those boys. And we look forward to that series next year.
Yeah, I'm privileged to some of the goings on behind the scenes for the Premier Series, and there's a lot planned. 2016, format changes and a few different rule changes. So yeah, of course, the V8's online guys will keep you all posted on what's happening with that.
Yeah, I know I've already got my entry in for that one, Brooksy, for all those Premier Series races next year. So yeah, can't wait to get started in preparing for the first race next season.
And we're only a few days away from Mighty 2016, and we certainly look forward to seeing what iRacing has to offer us next year with updates and new tracks and whatnot.
I think Summit Tapperty and Ford last couple of laps haven't counted, and he's back behind his ERA teammate at Jake Blackwell. Dropped back to 7th position.
I don't know what happened to 40 there, whether or not he had a moment.
Yeah, the car doesn't look any more damaged than what it did earlier on, so yeah, maybe it did have a bit of a moment.
Just looking back through the replay, it appears that he just ran a bit wide on lap 22 there and let Jake through. Not sure it's the stupid damage and just because Jake's faster than possibly good at catching my comment and team orders coming through.
Unfortunately, we missed all of what you had to say there, Josh. Mate, you're going to have to repeat yourself, buddy.
Sorry, just Ian Ford, he just ran wide going through the Mercedes arena area and let Jake through. So maybe team orders coming through with Jake having a chance at possibly catching Michael.
Yeah, only 7 laps to go now. This race is going pretty quick for a fairly long track, so so much excitement around in the different parts of the field.
Yeah, it's certainly pretty hard to keep up with everyone, I'll tell you now, boys. But yeah, it's certainly been an outstanding race driven so far by Joshua Rogers. He's looking very fast and very racy. 8 laps to go. Going to be hard for Kane to catch him. He has slightly closed the gap. But
yeah, I was going to mention, Fonty, the gap has dropped down about 1.5 seconds since we last mentioned it, about 5 laps ago. Dropped down to 2.7 seconds now, between first and second, and Cialek behind He was down about, he did have it into nearly 6 seconds, but he's been held up with some back markers just this lap, so that's really hampered him. He's dropped down to about 9 seconds.
Back markers letting him through, so it's slightly held him up. He's dropped back to 3.4 seconds with those guys holding him up there, but we've got 8 laps to go. It certainly is possible. These boys had pretty much the exact same pit stop, so they've taken the same amount of fuel. No tyres, they're on the same old 23 lap old tyres. It'll be up to who's got the better setup car and who's looked after their tyres throughout the race, really. Kane's driven a excellent race so far. He's stayed out of trouble, so he could definitely catch Joshua. Then we go back to third position, which is Mitchell Selak, and there is a 7-second gap between Kane and Mitchell. Then we go back to fourth, Michael Cracknell. Fifth is Michael Hammond. Sixth is Jake Blackhall. Seventh is Ian Ford. Eighth is Peter Sattler. Ninth is Kurt Stenberg. And 10th is Jason Bentz. Good little battle heading up here between Kurt Stenberg, Peter Sattler and Jason Bentz. So we'll keep an eye on this for the rest of the race. Kurt is a very good driver. I've been watching him throughout the series, and he's very clean and consistent, and being consistent certainly wins you championships. So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up in this race.
Yeah, they had a bit of moment into turn 1 there. A lap car having a big moment in front of them into the hairpin, and Kurt almost got taken out by him. So yeah, he was lucky to get away with that without a scratch. But yeah, these three cars definitely having a good old battle in these closing laps.
And this battle between Richard Aylward and Heath Brennan isn't over yet. They're fighting right to the end, these two boys. We've seen them about this distance the whole race, so it'll be interesting to see if Heath can put his head down and get past Richard for 11th position. I think that's about as far up as he'll be able to get. Don't think he'll catch Jason Bentz there in 10th. As we look down the field now at our series organiser Simon Black sitting back there in 32nd position, with Paul Preston in the Progressive Racing Australia Green Falcon. Very nice paint job that these boys have put on this Falcon.
Yeah, even with a few panels missing.
That's all part and parcel of V8 racing. Wouldn't be supercar racing if we didn't have panels missing and whatnot.
Yeah, Mahale in that battle's under all sorts of pressure from him, looking to get the move done hopefully in the next few laps and not leave his run too late. Trying to get into the top 30.
We look back here at 19th and 20th, and it's the simulated boys of Kevin Overham and Adam Highland battling it out there for 19th and 20th. Always looks pretty cool seeing two team cars side by side racing together on the track. Always makes them stand out a bit more. Certainly one of my favourite liveries in this series would be the simulator crew.
Yeah, it looks like a few teams going for the purpley / pink, grey and black themes, and they're all got their own little individual flares to them, and yeah, they do look like a pretty picture with two of them together like that, as you say.
Or as we're just watching this battle with Richard Aylward and Heath Brennan, and these boys are going side by side. Been side by side for a few corners now. Richard having the inside line into turn 1. And Heath not giving up at all. Still side by side. Or Heath runs a bit wide, and Richard's got the run out of it into turn 2.
Oh, that's close.
Oh, that was very
close.
close. Very close. Very wide part
Good
of the
racing.
circuit. Great racing.
Oh, it was
Oh,
Brennan.
big moment there from Brennan. He saved it.
These tyres aren't going to like that too much. He's going to have to watch his exit here and just make sure he doesn't put the power down too early.
Yeah, well, I can imagine his windscreen would be pretty dirty after this race. He's been stuck behind Richard for quite some time. We just jump on board and we can see that he's got all sorts of material going on his inside windscreen there. Good racing between these two boys, and great to see that they're keeping it clean.
Yeah, it has been. They've been at it since the start of the race, I think. So it's been really good watching those two go at it.
Yeah, I don't think it's over yet, to be honest, boys. Although that Richard's pulled a slight gap, I think Heath has every capability of catching him up and them putting on a show for us for the finish.
Yeah, I think Brennan's tyres may be a little bit hot at the moment, and once they cool off, he'll probably have another attack at Richard.
As Richard's just coming up on a lapped car, and I think that's Paul Preston from the Progressive Racing Australia. I may be wrong.
Mark Fee, buddy.
Mark Fee,
yeah, Mark Fee, the HTR guys.
Interesting to see if he holds these boys up or if he just lets them go.
Another thing to note is Ian Ford has gotten past Jake Blackhall again this lap.
As Fee gets out of the way, but Brennan's right back there again on the rear of Aylward's Commodore.
We'll keep an eye on that battle.
Oh, it looks like Kurt's just got into one of those simulated cars, and both cars are going round through the Mercedes thing just in front of that battle.
Oh, we'll just go and check out that replay. They'll be disappointed with that.
Yeah, that is a shame. It's
Probably
Peter
one of
Sadler
those
that got spun
racing
around.
incidents. Both tried to give each other room. Very hard when you've got a corner which tightens up like that, and they've just slightly caught, and yeah, both of them have gone around, unfortunately, so they'll be disappointed with that.
Yeah, Sattler losing 6 positions, back 14 from 8.
And so it's all about finishing, especially in this championship. You can win it by certainly not even winning any races at all. You can finish in the top 3, 4, 5 and easily take out the championship. So just being consistent and not having accidents and not making silly mistakes will win you this championship. As we just look up the front now, and Joshua Rogers has driven an excellent race, and I don't think Kane is going to catch him at all. There's a 4-second gap between Rogers and Kugamia, with another 7-second gap back to Mitchell Selak in third, which is where I think our top 3 will end up.
Yeah, also got the safety cushion there of a few lap cars in between them now, so by the time he fights his way through there, and I think Josh will be pretty safe, as you say.
So a shout out to Cracknell from the STC Motorsports. good solid performance from Cracknell tonight. 4th position. He's gained a couple of spots through attrition, but he's actually made up 8 spots in the race, so it's a good drive from Crackers.
Yeah, as we just look at the gains and losses throughout this race. Oh, as we have Richard Aylward and Heath Brennan have a little coming together there. Heath got a little bit sideways. As I get back to the gains and losses, we have Joshua Rogers in first. He's gained 4 positions. Kane Kugamia started second, sitting in second. Mitchell Selak started on pole, moved back 2 positions. Cracknell moved up 8 spots, and he's sitting in 4th. Michael Hammond moved up 2. Ian Ford, who had a coming together there with Sam Sutton, he still moved up 4 positions from his original starting position. Jake Blackhole has also moved up 4 posies. Jason Bent's 1. Richard Aylward starting in 14th, and he's up to 9th. And Heath Brennan dropping back 4 positions. Biggest gains of the race so far is Sean Chappell, and he's moved up 19 spots. He's sitting in 23rd. So we've got 2 laps to go now, and it has been a race which Rogers has not had too much pressure from behind, certainly not since the incident between Sutton and Ford, but he has driven an excellent race throughout this race. Back to Kugamia, who was 4.2 seconds behind Rogers, and Selak sitting there in 3rd. Good effort from Selak considering he clipped the wall there early on in the race. He's done well to get back up to 3rd position.
Yeah, definitely a good drive. I think he was as far down as 10th or 11th, I think, earlier on. So yeah, definitely a good drive to get back up there after that incident. Did it all by himself, so he definitely would have been a bit upset with himself, but managed to get his head down and get the car back up to where it should be.
Yeah, well, still good championship points for him. He'll be got to be happy with that. That's all he needs to be, is clean and consistent. Next round, if he can do the same, he'll move his way on up the ladder. As we're just on the last lap now with Rogers, and we will follow Rogers to the end of this race. Josh Rogers catching a lapped car there on his last lap. I don't think he's too worried about getting past. Doesn't have any pressure from Kugamia, who's given up chasing him down and is 5.5 seconds behind him now. So we've only got a few more corners to go, and Rogers will be crowned our race champion for tonight. He comes down now in through the last turn, gives us a little sideways moment, and will come across and win the race. Excellent drive by Rogers, top stuff by him. Kane Kugamia for ANZ Motorsport in second, with Mitchell Selak following reasonably closely behind there in third. Excellent drive there from Michael Cracknell to finish fourth, with a well-deserved fifth place finish for Michael Hammond. Jake Blackhall there in sixth, with Ian Ford having a bit of a moment there as he tries to get past Blackhall, and he will finish seventh. Jason Bentz just coming around the last turn now, will finish in 8th position. And Richard Elwood, who, sure, he's sick of looking in his rear view mirror for Heath Brennan, he will finish in 9th. And Kurt Stenberg gets past Brennan to finish 10th. Good drive from Stenberg there. He'll be a little bit gutted that he spun it up there, but solid effort by him. Heath Brennan in 11th and Ross Rizzo in 12th. Peter Sattler in 13th. Matthew Ross Munro in 14th. Fawzan Al Nabi in 15th, with Craig Jones in 16th. Joshua Cook finishing 17th, with a solid drive from Kevin Overham in 18th. Adam Highland 19th, and rounding out your top 20 is Bruce Kelly.
Yeah, not a bad race. So it's good big field, and I think we only managed to have maybe 3 cars, I think, not finish the race. Everybody else stayed out there and down to only about 7 laps down at the end.
Yeah, so interesting race, to be honest. Good battles all the way through the field. It'll be interesting to talk to some of these drivers when they come up for an interview, see how their car performed. We certainly saw the TTL car of Joshua Rogers look like it was on rails all night, and so did the ANZ Motorsport boys. You've got to be happy with your team's performance there, Brooksy.
Yeah, mate, yeah, certainly. I think Mitch probably had the pace to win, but the unfortunate mistake early in the race cost him. But yeah, no, 2 guys on the podium's always good, so well done to them, and well done to Rogers. Outstanding race.
Yeah, and we've just got Rogers down there, so we'll pull him up for an interview.
G'day, you got us there, Josh.
Yep, I got you.
It's turned out a pretty good race for you, mate. Quite a bit of pressure there from Mitch and your teammate Sam in the early stages, but you managed to run away with it at the end.
Yeah, it was definitely a really tough race, definitely with Kane starting to breathe on my neck towards the end, but it's really disappointing with what happened to Sam. I don't think really something like that should have happened in the first place, but was really looking forward to a good battle with him, but yeah, definitely was close racing until the pit stops fanned out.
Yeah, it all got a little bit messy around that stage between Sam and Ian, but nonetheless, mate, it takes nothing away from your win tonight. A 5-second gap over Kane in the end, and must be pretty confident heading into the rest of this series.
Yeah, definitely somewhat confident, but it's never going to be easy. It never is. Always gets people showing up and you run for your money, which is good. It's good to have some competition, but yeah, it's definitely no easy field to beat, really.
Yeah, good effort there tonight, Josh, mate. Well done on your win. Yeah, you certainly had it cruisy there for the last few laps. Your car looked like it was pretty hooked up tonight. How did it go for you?
Yeah, definitely felt pretty gripped up, but yeah, definitely the last stage of the race for me were actually far from relaxed, as I was having to save a little bit of fuel, so having to juggle the gap with Kane and then the fuel numbers as well. It was a bit tricky, but thanks to Jake and Sam throughout the race for their help.
Yeah, no worries. And I think Kane was in the same boat with saving fuel there. You guys had pretty much the exact same pit stop. The two fastest pit stops in the race, with an 11.4 second pit stop for you and an 11.2 second pit stop for Kane. At what point did you realize you were running low on fuel?
Basically, as soon as I came out of the pits, really, I looked at my counters at the end of the first lap and realised, oh bugger, I've not put quite enough in for the amount of fuel I burned. But yeah, I just had to slowly each lap just bring it back a little bit and bring it back. Maybe have another crack at it, try and pull a gap again, and then use some of that breathing space to save some more fuel. But yeah, that was basically it.
Yeah, well, you certainly drove a great race tonight, mate. Textbook stuff. You would have, yeah, a little bit disappointing there with the incident between Sam and Ian. It was certainly looking like it was shaping up to be a good battle between you guys. So disappointing result, well, finish for those boys. But I'm sure next week we can all see it all happen all over again. Thanks for joining us in the commentary box tonight, Josh, mate, and well done on your win.
Yeah, thanks guys. Also shout out to TTL for all their help, and Pagnian. They've got some really good rigs up there on pagnianimports.com.au, so go check that out if you're looking for some sim gear.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Give them all the plugs you want. So that will take you up to 600 points. So you're a little bit in front of series overall points now. So congratulations on that, mate. And your team points will certainly be getting up there as well.
Yeah, thank you. I'll do my best to try and keep this points roll going, but we'll see what happens next week.
Yeah, good on you, mate. And we look forward to seeing you next week for the 4th round of the Oceanic Sim Racing V8 Supercar Series, in which we'll be coming to you live from a wonderful track known as Road America.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us tonight, Josh, mate. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Good.
Michael Cracknell, mate, what an excellent drive. Got to be happy with your 4th place finish.
Hey guys. Yeah, starting from 12th, it was probably better than I expected, but I wasn't really dialed in until probably, I don't know, 8-10 laps into it before I sort of started to feel comfortable with it. But yeah, 4th's okay.
Yeah, well, you moved a few positions up from where you started. Certainly got to be happy with your championship points, mate. That's yeah, it's doing good for your championship points where you finished tonight. How did your car go?
Oh, good track.
Oh, sorry,
back.
mate. How did your car go tonight?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It needs a little bit of work. I haven't really had a lot of time this week, so I just used last week's setup, and it seemed to go okay. But having said that, I didn't have the pace of Mitch, Kane, or Josh, so they were too good today. Well done to those 3.
Yeah, well, you look like you took on a bit more fuel than they did in the pit stop. They were struggling to finish the race off. They only did a 11.2 second pit stop and didn't quite take enough fuel, so they were both fuel saving right to the end.
Yeah, I probably took on a little bit much, but I was just going on the safe side because I didn't really do any fuel calculations before the race, so I just sort of took an estimated guess, and it was a little bit more, but I'd rather more than less, so it wasn't too bad.
No, mate, got to be happy with your efforts tonight, mate. I think that was a great drive by you. You drove a very clean and consistent race, mate. So, well done from me. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, just all the boys at SDC. A few of them are having a bit of a holiday and a break, but everyone at SDC wishes everyone here and through the iRacing community a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yeah, well, it's certainly a festive time of the year.
Definitely, definitely. But yeah, I'm sort of still around a little bit, so I have to work right through. So yeah, I'm still on a little bit, just playing around and.
Yeah, well, good to see the numbers were in the many tonight, considering the time of the year and most people are away. We had 50 drivers turn up for tonight's race, which is great to see.
Absolutely, this series has gone from strength to strength, and it just seems to be getting bigger and bigger. So, it's a credit to Simon and everyone at OSR, and also you guys for putting on the broadcast.
Yeah, no worries, mate. We look forward to bringing you the live coverage of this each week. So, thank you for
Yep.
joining us.
No.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Have any of the other boys in here got any questions for you?
No, mate. Just well done tonight, Crackers. I mentioned how good of a clean, consistent drive it was, and that's what it takes to win series like this. So well done, mate.
No worries. Thanks, Brooksy. Thanks all, and yeah, have a good good New Year.
Thank you, Crackers, and we'll see you next week, mate, for round 4 at Road America.
Cheers, guys.
Ian Ford, welcome to the commentary, mate, and slightly disappointing into what could have been a very successful race for you. You were looking very fast. You gained well in your pit stop, mate, but a little bit of contact there between you and Sammy Sutton ended your race-winning hopes.
Yeah, just with the new tyres there, I thought, I could get a chance into turn one. He just had the advantage, and, heading up into that left-hander, he went wide, and I just saw the gap, and it's like, okay, I'll throw it in there. And when I realised he was coming in, it's like, I was too committed to really do anything else, and, the rest is history. I just moved on, pushed as hard as I could for the rest of the race, and burnt the front end out of the car pretty well with new tyre pressures, so that may have been a bit of a weak side if the race did run normally. Other than that, I had an absolutely brilliant race with Jack Blackhall towards the end of the race there, and literally we're only millimetres apart, and had a full-on drag race to the line until my car ran out of fuel.
Yeah, well, it was a bit of an ambitious move there, I thought, when those boys came out of the pits, mate. But the gap was certainly there, and you had every right to put your nose in there. Slightly disappointing way to end a great race, but mate, you drove really well to come back and finish in 7th place. I could tell that you were going to be scraping in on fuel there, between yourself, Rogers, and Cougar. You guys all did an 11.2 seconds pit stop, which proved to be just enough fuel. Did you have to fuel save it all throughout the end of that race?
Only a little tiny touch, just with a few laps to go. Just that way, I had like absolutely everything I had to throw at my teammate to try and fend him off and get back to position and everything. So I just basically did it for fun in the end. But no disappointment there. It was an absolutely fantastic race for most of it, and I can't wait to rock back up next week and do the same thing. Just absolutely full flat and see if we can get a couple of top threes out of this car.
Yeah, well, being the defending champion of the Oceanic Sim Racing V8 Supercar Series, it's great to have you here as part of the series for this season. And now that we're broadcasting this series, we hope to see you come back for rounds to come, mate.
Yeah, thanks, boys. It's great to see you guys doing the broadcast. It's a great little series, so hopefully I can split my time between the F1 car and the V8 a bit more decently and get a bit more pace in either car, and hopefully we'll be up the front sometime soon in the Maverick Weldon car.
Yeah, and I was commenting earlier on tonight, mate. You guys' car looks great out on track, mate. So well done on the colour choice there, and it'd be good to see you fighting for the top. If you head on back to us next week, we're at the spectacular Road America circuit, one of which I'm sure you've done a few laps on. So we look forward to seeing you then. Is there anyone that you'd like to shout out to, Ian?
Just Jake Blackhall and Craig Jones for helping with the setup tonight, just throwing a bit of their direction around, and of course Brenton O'Brien for actually looking after the rest of us. Like we run around like headless chooks most of the time, crashing and bashing into each other, so he keeps us in line a little bit. But other than that, just you guys, Simon, for putting on an awesome series, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, well, congratulations on a solid drive to get back and finish 7th tonight, Ian, and we look forward to seeing you next week at Road America. Now, as we just have the series organizer and legend himself, Mr. Simon Black, come and join us in the commentary box. Thanks for coming and having a chat with us, Simon, mate. You, how was your race? You finished up in 29th position. What happened, mate?
Hello guys, how are you? Yeah, not the shiniest race I've ever had. I got turned around at the start of the second lap and I think went from about 20th to 45th or whatever. And yeah, I had to pit for damage, so I did about 25 laps on the tyres, and yeah, not really what I wanted.
No, well, yeah, you looked like you were having a couple of battles there. We focused on you a couple of times, mate, and you were having some battles with a few people back. I guess you wouldn't have done too much practice around the circuit this week.
No, I think I did about the total of 15 laps in practice and qualifying, so not a lot. But it was good fun. It's a good track.
Yeah, it certainly looked like a spectacular track, and one which was quite physical on the arms. But yeah, it looked like you were having a lot of fun out there, mate. And we just want to thank you for organising the Oceanic Sim Racing V8 Supercar series and all the other series that you do. You guys run a great bunch of series, and you're a great bunch of guys. So keep up the good effort.
Sorry, mate, got about the push to talk button. Yeah, thanks very much, guys, and thanks for doing the broadcast on the commentary. Really enjoyed the last week's, so I'll be watching again tomorrow and checking out all the action for sure. So thank you all very much and for all your efforts, and have a happy New Year, guys.
Yeah, same to you there, Simon, mate, and thanks for coming up and having a chat with us. And we look forward to seeing you next week for the next round of the series, which is going to be held at the Road America circuit.
I look forward to it. Thanks, guys.
As we've got one more interview here to come and have a chat with us, and that's Nick Helsler. I'll just pull him up. Nick, mate, Scotty Fountain here. How was your 22nd position finish tonight, mate?
Oh, thanks, guys. Well, my 22nd was probably pretty much sort of what I expected, but not too bad after being near to dead last at turn one, so reasonably happy with that. But pretty good result for the team. We had three of us running in the top 10 there for a while until Pete and Stenny had a coming together when they were running 8th and 9th, I think it was. But we got Mick Hammond up there with a top 5 finish, and Jason Bent's there at 8th. So pretty happy with their results. They're driving pretty well at the moment. Mike's on pretty good form.
Yeah, good to see all you guys out here having a crack at this series. And the series is certainly going from strength to strength. How did your car perform tonight?
Yeah, pretty happy with the car once it gets going. I mean, I'm not the quickest bloke out there, obviously. I'm just there to help the other guys as much as I can and toddle around for a fair bit of fun. But we got a pretty decent baseline set that looks after its tyres and got pretty good turn in and pretty strong throughout the stint. So very happy with the way the car's going. Just need to work on the nut behind the wheel.
Yeah, well, it's all about practice in this, and certainly coming to a new track like the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit. Everyone's on a similar playing field whereby not many people have had the opportunity to do too many laps, certainly not in a V8 supercar, so good to see you guys out there having a good crack at it, and we look forward to seeing you in weeks to come. Do you have anyone out there that you'd like to thank?
Yeah, big shout out to you guys at RRTV for taking on the telecast and the broadcast. It's fantastic for it. OSR doing a fantastic job as usual. My teammates out there tonight, now sponsor Simulated, all doing a good job. And yeah, big shout out to Gareth at Simulated, who's given us a mountain of support over the last 12 months.
Yeah, well, it's great to see you guys' cars looking hot to trot out there. Great colour choice, certainly one of my favourites. So thank you for joining us in the commentary box tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
No worries, thanks guys, and we'll catch you next week.
Okay, well that pretty much rounds up our broadcast for tonight. I'd like to present a Driver of the Night award, an award which who do you boys think it should go to?
I think it has to go to Rogers, doesn't he? The clean battle was able to have at the front for the first half of the race, and then to drive Walford in the second half. I think he did outstanding.
Yeah, me, I think it was either him or Mitchell after his off while leading the race and battling back from 15th to grab second there, I think it was. So, yeah, either one of those two, I think.
Yeah, well, I couldn't agree more. I think Rogers drove a great race. It would certainly be between Rogers and Cracknell for my Driver of the Night, but I think we should gift it to the man who drove a spectacular race and finished 5 seconds in front of second place finish. Joshua Rogers, well done on Driver of the Night, and extend his championship lead to 600 points. We'll have all the championship points updated for the next round next week. So that will wrap us up for tonight. So on behalf of Brooksy from ANZ Motorsport, Luke Emerton from All Stars Motorsports, and Josh Nowak from TD Racing, this has been the broadcast of round 3 of the Oceanic Sim Racing V8 Supercar Series, in which we came to you live from a spectacular Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit. And we look forward to joining you same time next week at the Road America circuit. Until then, have a safe holiday season, and we will talk to you next week.
See you guys.